It's been called a national crisis. It's devastating families. Opioids really came to market in the 90s. It was at the time raved as the next penicillin as far as helping people deal with pain and chronic pain. Unfortunately, the manufacturers really never told us that it was a highly addictive narcotic. Once that prescription goes away, then they seek to gain that high in other places, and this is where you're seeing it as a gateway into heroin and some very serious, life-changing and devastating drugs.
When I think about this scenario of someone being prescribed opioids as the first response in the line of chronic pain, or maybe the first bout of acute pain even, we never know what is going to trigger in someone when they're addicted. It could be the first time that they were ever prescribed. It could be the sixth time they were prescribed. I think it's really important that we get this word out because it is a huge strain on our state, and addiction disrupts families and communities, let alone all the things and the side effects that come off of that addiction that lead the person to dark places or even death.
They're very addictive. I believe statistics tell us that approximately 25% of all that are prescribed end up having some kind of an addiction problem. My son Heath, about 8 years ago, suffered a injury, and he was prescribed oxycodone. And he told me in his own words, he said, "Dad, as time went on and he knew that he was an addict, he said, Dad, they messed up the second time I called, they prescribed Oxycontin." And he said basically that was the end. So I watched him in the last 5 years deteriorate from a beautiful marriage, 2 beautiful children, to having absolutely nothing. And on May 14th of 2016, the spring, that we found him passed away from an overdose of a bad batch of heroin that had fentanyl in it. I dealt with his addiction actively for 5 years. He had it for 8, but for 5 years, I never really fully understood the magnitude of it until he passed away. You just never think it's going to happen to you.
What if you lose one of your family members because of it? What if you're the family that had what we went through? What if it was your child and you lost him because of that addiction?
Is it worth the risk? You should have asked me on May 14th, 2016. No. It's never worth the risk.